the standard. What is this? Asmongold discovers Lindsey Graham was an insane Uber Zionist warmonger. I think we might have lost the real one. I like that he's like trying to be cute about this, for the record. But I don't think he's trying to be cute about this. Where'd you get your scar on your forearm from? Don't kill me. On your forehead? This? It's not a scar. It's a zit, man. I have a zit. It's not like a Harry Potter scar. It's just a zit. Harry Potter. All right, let's hear what Asmongold had to say.
An absolute existential threat to the Jewish people. What happened on October the 7th?
I think we might have lost a real one. Yeah.
Was 1,200 people were slaughtered, raped, and murdered and filmed by radical Islamists who would kill every Jew if they could, to the world. If you don't understand this is a threat to Israel's
And then
survival,
they flattened Gaza.
just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong to...
Damn.
Dude. There's just no... This is so fucking fake and so goddamn phony. Okay? Any congressman talks about any other country like this, places the interests of a foreign nation over the interests of American citizens, Asmongold will be like, why should I care? This is treason. But lo and behold, when it's Israel, he's like, oh, it's based. They're killing Muslims, guys. We love that. He has to be securing some contracts from the Israeli government, because honestly, if he's doing this shit for free, that's a lot of money that he's losing. Straight up.
Oh, shit. Man, we really lost somebody. We lost a real one for sure, boys. God damn.
drop an atomic bomb to end the Japanese reign of terror, were we? So, my view...
And she didn't know what the fuck to say.
An absolute...
Yeah, that's so based. Yeah, Mr. Christian LARPer here.
Back to...
Yeah, look at this. Asmongold says he will return to the church and back to mass if Pope Leo declares a crusade to stop radical Muslims from massacring Christians in Africa.
I would go back to mass and I would go back to church if the Pope calls a crusade. Crusade to where? What's the objective? To Africa to save all of the Christians.
Yeah, you're going to go fight in the crusades, dude? You're going to fight in the holy crusades in Africa? The level of LARP we have reached is unfucking bearable, okay? A new level of LARP has been unlocked. A guy who's been an atheist his whole life, openly, right? Like, yeah, I don't care about religion, is now being like, yeah, I'll go back to Catholicism if they do the Holy Crusades. Bitch, the Holy Crusade for you is walking outside, okay? Seeing the sunlight for once. Like, what do you mean you would participate in the crusade?
That are being massacred by a bunch of Muslim radicals that are cutting them up and killing them. I think that that's definitely what they should do. They're being killed in mass, genocided, massacred. And these are people that want to become Christian.
A baptism would kill him because it would be the first time he's taken a shower.
There are a number of bishops and people of the faith in the Roman Catholic Church that have come from Africa. And I think Africa is one of the biggest places where Christianity is flourishing and it's being killed. And I think they need to stop that. That's it. I would
like what the fuck, dude? Why the fuck do you give a shit about Christianity's growth in Africa? Nick Fuentes literally said the same thing. Are you going to mention that? Obviously not, so pipe down.
The reason why I'm not attacking Nick or saying anything negative about Nick is because Nick and I are aligned on everything else, basically, right? I mean, I think Israel's less of a problem than he does, but overall, I know that Nick is on my side. Anna Kasparian is not on my side. She's not. That's why I'm attacking her. Does that make sense to you? I recognize what the difference is between people that are allies versus people that are enemies. Why would I attack somebody who's an ally? Does that make any sense to you?
I mean, what do you say? What do you say to this? This is legit like a Francoist fascist ball knower philosophy. He's dog whistling. He's not a ball knower at all. He's a ball washer. He's just responding to the fucking winds, dude. That's it. Where's Ethan Klein? Ethan made Casey Tron apologize to him. Where are the call out vids, the content nuke? Yeah. Yeah. That's why he doesn't attack the dead rat in the walls. True ally. Yeah. 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 Based. Yeah, dude. Yeah. This was a real one, boys. This was a real one, boys. This was dope. He's a ball washer to Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, and now Lindsey Graham. Cause of death has been revealed. Breaking. An initial examination from the D.C. Medical Examiner's Office has determined that Senator Lindsey Graham died as a result of an aortic dissection due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. In layman's terms, this means a tear in the aorta caused by the hardening and narrowing of arteries as a result of underlying cardiovascular disease. The death certificate will be pending until all toxicological and microscopic testing are finalized, and at that point, the death certificate will be updated to reflect the cause of death and appropriately classify the manner of death. Yeah, it happened. I'm telling you, it's because he got so excited when he heard Donald Trump say we're bombing Iran super hard. Karg is back on the menu. Oh my God. Former CENTCOM Commander, retired General Frank McKenzie says the U.S. should consider seizing Iran's Karg Island because possession of Iranian soil would be a significant factor in future negotiations with Iran. Oh my God, this is so stupid. Dude, why didn't we do this before? Why Rip Bozo? He died patriotically of old age after a lifetime of based. Yeah, I too think that eviscerating American social safety nets as a Republican while simultaneously funneling unlimited billions of dollars to Israel, a foreign nation, is based. Like Lindsey Graham and numerous other Republican congresspersons and even many Democrats have sent your family members off to war over and over again, so some fucking international conglomerate generates more value by this death and destruction and the stealing of natural resources while simultaneously robbing you fucking blind. And you sit there and you go, based. It's all Israel. Did I just say Israel alone? I said wars of conquest that you don't see any of the fucking benefits and only the pain from, while simultaneously, again, robbing you fucking blind. Okay? Like he was a heartless monster. You can't just like, oh, it's based, or oh, all you care about is Israel. You're way out of this. All Lindsey Graham cared about is Israel, dumbass. Have you ever heard him fucking speak? He quite literally, where's that famous clip of his where he just goes, till my last breath, all I care about is Israel. I want him to care about South Carolinians. He's from fucking South Carolina. You can't like edgy tweet your way out of this, dumbass. You can't just try to fucking posture this. You can't posture yourself as like an edgy boy who's America first. No, dude, come on. Just give me the actual fucking clip, dumbass. Jesus Christ. Please. Trying to fucking make a point. Here it is.
Seminites to all the isolationists. I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus, plus, plus.
Yeah. Israel. That's the guy. That's the guy you're talking about. Yeah. Here's Lindsey Graham openly admitting he'd rather help Israel than help American hurricane victims in fucking South Carolina. That's the guy you're defending, by the way. So based, dude. It's based, though. They're killing Muslims, right? It's based. Dumbass. They're killing you, okay? They're killing you, and they're getting away with it because you're so stupid. You're so easily manipulated that as long as they say they're killing scary Muslims, you're like, that's fine, I guess. You're the one who's dying, you fucking goober. It's your goddamn neighbors that don't get the fucking help that they need. Let's take a look at this clip.
You can thank Donald Trump and Elon Musk for that. But look, you know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making. And Biden says be proportional. What is the proportional response to people who want to kill you and your...
Sean, stop talking about South Carolina, North Carolina. Who cares if they're dying in the hurricane and not getting the help that they need? What about our friends dying in Israel? Can you imagine? Like, people always point to Ilhan Omar speaking on Somalia, which, you know, is a mistranslation regardless, to be like, Ilhan Omar places the interests of Somalia over the interests of Americans all the time. That's not the case, right? Ilhan Omar wants you to have fucking healthcare, for example. So clearly he's better than Lindsey Graham across the board. Having said that, even with the mistranslated clips that they love to talk about with Ilhan Omar's like first loyalty being to Somalia, can you imagine if Ilhan Omar was asked about fucking victims of a tornado or a hurricane or something, and she turned around and said, who cares about the victims of a tornado or a hurricane in America? I care about giving money to Somalia. They would kill her. Okay? They would, like, people would go crazy. People already go crazy when they imagine that Ilhan Omar has a loyalty to the nation state of Somalia. Meanwhile, the guy you're calling based is over here being like, yeah, hand waving away the victims of a hurricane. What matters is Israel.
Friends in Israel surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making. And Biden says be proportional. What is the proportional response to people who want to kill you and your family? God. They're running out of ammunition in Israel. We have to help our friends to keep the war over there from coming here. They're willing to...
Yeah. And it's not like this guy has family ties to Israel. How are you not calling into question why? Yeah. How are you not calling into question why he's this compromised? Did you guys forget that this fucking demon is the reason, is like one of the biggest reasons why we struck Iran? Did you guys forget that? He openly would fly back and forth. You think it's just straight blackmail on him? I think he's just also has an unlimited appetite for death and destruction. He is one of the biggest champions of America's imperialist war machine. Yeah, Lindsey Graham was an imperialist warmonger who supported every major U.S. intervention, every major U.S. military intervention during his career. He did not care about humanity or international law or even U.S. citizens. He served the interests of U.S. capitalist class and the U.S. proxy regime of Israel, 100%. His first priority was to serve his real masters, okay? The American military-industrial complex, which, of course, meant that he would serve his other master, the nation-state of Israel, in its territorial ambitions, in its expansionist goals, in its genocidal warmongering. So, yeah, What is this? Socialism with nationalism. It's fascism. I'm all for it, though. The Roach is a Brazilian MAGA chud. That's so awesome. Oh, he's one of those like evangelicals in Brazil, then probably. One of the funniest versions of this. Of course, not an American. Dude, I'm not like Mr. Patriotism at all, as you guys know. But as far as people go, I have an American audience. Like, my audience are primarily Americans, okay? They're not fucking random dipshits in Brazil that are LARPing as though they're MAGA. They're not random dipshits in the Netherlands that are LARPing as fucking MAGA. They're Americans, okay? It's so strange to me. I don't even understand the mindset of dick-eating American fascism this hard from a separate country, especially when half the time the American fascist movement, the American MAGA movement, ends up becoming a real danger to your national sovereignty. How have you reduced your nationalist movement to the whims of an American fascist movement that will destroy your country? Enjoy your fucking gas prices, man. It makes no goddamn sense. At least in the past, not to say that this was preferable, but at least it was like easier to comprehend that fascist movements in the past would create allegiances with other fascist movements, Imperial Japan, with Nazi Germany, with fascist Italy. But they had a shared interest, but they had their own sovereignty in the process. Nowadays, the international fascist movement has just LARPed into this version of MAGA, and a version of MAGA that actually dictates that their nation state and their sovereignty is secondary to the interests of the American international movement. Very strange. No, Frantz Fanon in The Wretched of the Earth say colonized or colonialized states born natives could be the most fervent servants of empire. That doesn't explain this. Okay? You're wrong. That doesn't explain the compradors. This is something beyond that. Okay? You're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding that quote, in my opinion. Okay? That's for compradors that are blindly demonstrating loyalty to the colonial occupation. These are people who think they have a nationalist ambition in a fucking otherwise, supposed to be sovereign state. Okay? It's a little bit different than the Fanon interpretation, in my opinion. I like the number and I like your suit. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a suit guy. I'm a big business guy. Yeah, these guys are fucking traitors. That's what's so crazy about it. They're just straightforward traitors. But they're traitors that don't recognize that they're traitors. They have no investment in a national project. They're not nationalists. In some ways, they're internationalists. Just international fascists, which happen to be, as long as America gets to get a victory here, then we're fine. We're happy with that. It has direct negative consequences. I think you're right here. This is completely separate because they're going beyond supporting the colonial project where they are, but literally within the heart of empire, they will likely never touch. It's really interesting because the impact of American imperialism is genuinely negative for a lot of these countries. Anyway, yeah, I saw this. Here's a quick comparison of the top countries searching on Google for Hassan Piker and Asmongold over the past 12 months. Hassan Piker, United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. Asmongold, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Estonia, Canada. Like his whole fan base is... His whole fan base straight up comes from Euroid MAGA LARPers, dude. It's so weird. Anyway, let's get back to Lindsey Graham and his legacy.
As you have said, one.
Fox News Alert, Lindsey Graham will be remembered for his fierce support of America's greatest ally in the Middle East, Israel.
He is being
like, how does this not weird people out? Like, you know how people always say, like, oh, dude, you talk about Israel quite a bit. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about Israel ever again. In a perfect world, I would never have to utter the word, okay? Utter the name. These guys are the ones who literally are like, an American senator just passed away, and guess what? He fucking rode Israel into oblivion till his very last breath. And it's like, doesn't that strike you as odd? One piece that's missing from this conversation is South Carolina. Is that not strange? We're talking about a U.S. senator from South Carolina, and South Carolina has not been mentioned at all, only to determine which Senate seat Israel purchased. Which state in the United States did Israel purchase the seat for a congressperson who would do their bidding?
As one of the Jewish state's, quote, greatest friends.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu joins us now. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for joining us. Let's begin with this. Why don't you just tell us, you've known Lindsey Graham for a very long time. He's been a friend of yours for a long time. Why don't you...
Again, where is the motherfucking South Carolinians? Why is the foreign head of state... Why is the foreign head of state eulogizing Lindsey Graham?
Tell us a little bit about your old friend.
Well, I met Lindsey when he became a senator, which is several decades ago, and we formed an immediate and easy partnership. He would come to Israel very often with his friend John McCain, or sometimes Joe Lieberman, and I looked at these people as personifying the traditional American values. He was such an American patriot. He was unabashedly for America, and he was unabashedly against the enemies of America. And he spoke what he thought.
He was personifying American patriotism, is correct, which is personified by how hard you ride Israel's dick.
Way with him. He had this charming Southern drawl, and you knew something was coming when he would say, well, I'm just a poor old Southern boy. And then you know he's coming in with the most penetrating insight that few people can deny and that everybody recognizes is the truth. He had a way with him. He was a wonderful, wonderful friend, a great American patriot, and a great champion of the Israel-American alliance, and I'll miss him personally a lot. I really, really thought the world of him. And I think the world has lost a great human being. America has lost a great senator, and we have lost a great friend.
Mr. Prime Minister, as you talk about the loss it means, what will you miss most about his leadership and his relationship with not just you, but with Israel?
You know, his clarity and his courage. He was absolutely clear. He didn't bend to fashion, the winds of fashion. He knew who the good guys were, and he knew who the bad guys were. He never confused the two. He saw Iran and its proxies for what they are, a danger not only to Israel, but to the entire world, and certainly to America. And he never wavered. You know, he just kept to his convictions and to his values. It's almost like, you remember the Superman comics, Truth, Justice, and the American Way? That was Lindsey Graham. And there was no, I don't know if I can use this word, there was no BS. Mm-hmm. You know, he just was so direct. And if he wanted to tell you something that you may not like, he would just do it. And I valued that. I valued his candor, his honesty, his courage to say things out loud and to represent what he thought, whether or not people liked it. I just treasure people like that, and I treasured him.
Prime Minister, you and your country had no greater ally in Congress than Senator Lindsey Graham. Who do you think will pick up that mantle in the manner that he did?
John Fetterman. Dude, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? Dude, it is crazy. They're just like, who do you buy next? Who's your most bought and paid for dick rider? And he's got, it's not like it's slim pickings. Okay? There's plenty. There are plenty in the House of Representatives. There's plenty in the Senate. Bought or blackmailed? I think bought, blackmailed, all of it, dude. All of the above. With Lindsey Graham, with Ladybug, there's probably, I don't even think they needed to blackmail him. You know what I mean? He just fucking genuinely loves death. Okay? He loved death and destruction. He did. He did. He fucking loved that shit. He loved it so much, he, joined it, I guess. But
well, there are quite a few candidates, but I'm not going to intervene in the Senate's business. But he is a great loss, undoubtedly. But I also think he paved the path. Yeah, he laid some markers for people to follow because I think he was so exceptional, again, in his clarity and courage. And he understood that in many ways, America and Israel's security are intertwined. We here in the Middle East, and that's fighting the forces of terror, the forces of Islamic radicalism that threaten America and its allies, that chant death to America, death to Israel. We're simply in their way. He understood that again and again and again. And he just wouldn't be cajoled or threatened or pressured to move away from this simple conviction. I think there are plenty of people in the American Senate who share that view, and I think it can use his example as something that inspires continuity.
As you know better than most people, American foreign policy can kind of be a bit of whiplash. You go from Obama to Trump to Biden back to Trump. But Trump is a pretty singular foreign policy, executor of foreign policy. Can you think of anybody else in U.S. politics who has been a stronger voice for President Trump's foreign policy vision than Lindsey Graham?
Well, he was certainly very, very strong. I'm not going to compare him to some others because there are other people who also.
McConnell's not dead. McConnell releases a photo and statement to my fellow Kentuckians. When you elected me to the 7th term and made me our Commonwealth's longest serving senator, you did so trusting that I'd show up for you every day. And over the past several weeks, Elaine and I have appreciated both your well wishes and your honest questions that was keeping me away from the Senate. You all know how folks in my generation often hesitate to share the vulnerability that comes with growing older. Even in the public eye, I feel that same instinct. I can't help it. But at the same time, dude, did Lindsey Graham get sacrificed so that Mitch McConnell could continue being a senator as opposed to possibly passing away and being replaced in a special election by an anti-Israel senator? My doctors have confirmed that I didn't break any bones or suffer a concussion. Dude, 26 days for nothing? There's no shot. I don't believe it. I like that they have a newspaper too for proof of life. I still don't believe it. Lindsey Graham death mogging Mitch McConnell. I know Chuck Grassley's sweating right now. Chuck Grassley is fine. I looked for the fingers. It seems it's the normal number of fingers, allegedly. He has still yet to disprove our relationship, which is interesting. Here he is with that harlot. Elaine, who left you. Mitch McConnell showing up to work tomorrow with a big Frankenstein scar on his forehead and a much gayer voice than before. Yeah, Mitch McConnell talks like this, but now all of a sudden after the procedure ended, he talks like this. Hello, I'm Senator Lindsey McConnell. Mitch McConnell from the beautiful state of South Carolina, Israel. Kentucky. Kentucky, of course. I love Kentucky. It's my favorite state. Kentucky, it's where I reside. My favorite state. What difference does it make? I'm only here to serve the Israeli interests. Oh my gosh, she flew to China to pick up the clone.
Share this view, and I think many Americans do, because, look, ultimately, this is a tough world. It's a cruel world. It is changing rapidly. There are many challenges to America's leadership in the world, which I think has to be maintained, because without America, I think there would be no liberty in the world, and we'd have a dark age returning and descending on us. Lindsey Graham understood it perfectly. I think there are many others who understand it. By the way, I think the bulk of the American people understand it. Yes, there is a trend right now, which is advanced by all sorts of actions on the social media to try to make Americans less proud of their incredible country, less patriotic. Lindsey Graham and the majority of the American people did not buy it. And I think there are plenty of others who do not buy that and will stand by the principles that America has championed for these years. That's the reason why there's this partnership between Israel and America, because fundamentally we stand for the same values. We represent democracy. We're the only democracy in the Middle East. We represent individual rights. We value every human life. These people can slaughter their own citizens.
Trey's back from the drawing board. There's a broader issue here. The only people articulating specifics about the future of U.S.-Israel relationship are either doing so in purely punitive terms or mostly preserving the status quo with lip service to how particularly bad Bibi is. Neither are sufficient, in my opinion. Yes, we must become infinitely more punitive about holding Israel accountable. We must become infinitely more punitive in our demands. Thank you, Trey Easton. You're right. We need to find a middle ground between the two extremes, a third way, if you will. I propose that we halt the provisions of bunker buster bombs of the IDF, but only in odd-numbered months. Chuck actually released a video.
I started farming in 1960. The same.
Dude, Chuck Grassley is low-key is so fucking goated. I have a fondness in my heart for him. He is such a demon, but really, he tweets the best. He's the best tweeter in Congress. Okay? And you know he's tweeting himself. It's not even, I'm telling you right now, he's not letting any of those staffers touch those tweets. Okay? He just got off the skateboard. No, this is actually unironically how he's like, man.
When I started farming in 1960, the saying was corn should be knee-high by the 4th of July. Now, with the development of new genetics for corn varieties, it is shoulder high by the 4th of July. Have a happy 4th of July.
Lindsey Graham dead. Mitch McConnell probably dead. Donald Trump monthly trips to Walter Reed. 92-year-old Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican, Iowa, alive, farming, and third in line to the presidency. Bro, he's got... Chuck Grassley's going to live forever, dude. Straight up. He's going to live forever. It's a given. It's a wrap. He's 92 years old and third in line to the presidency, chat. Look at the mutant corn he's eating. Well, whatever he's eating, it's working. Okay, yes, we got a sad Mitch McConnell update. Yes.
Tens of thousands without blinking an eye. And we stand for something else. We stand for opportunity, allowing people to realize the potential in their life. This is all the things that our shared values give a bond, a very powerful bond between us. It's not that that bond is not under challenge. It is. But it takes people like Lindsey Graham to keep that alliance going. And I'm sure you...
Okay, enough, dude. I don't want to fucking hear from this demon.
So I go up to Lindsey.
Yeah, let's hear from another demon, okay? It's like either other servants of Israel eulogizing him or the president of Israel, you know? Prime Minister of
I'm
Israel.
I'm a brand new senator, determined to do something about mass incarceration. And I hear through Dick Durbin and others that he's the guy to work with. And I say, Mr. Graham, sir, I'd like to work with you on criminal justice reform. He seems almost amused by what I said. He goes, Corey, do you understand? I'm in a primary right now, and I'm running against a guy who is batshit crazy. I can't even so much as talk to you right now. Get out of here, man. Come back to me after my primary. And I laughed and came back to him after the primary. And true to his...
Yeah, once again, classic classic political engineering here, you know, the machine. He's obviously talking about this fondly, but like, I guess technically he's just revealing that Lindsey Graham was lying to his constituents.
His word. He rolled up his sleeves and we went to work. And thanks to him and Dick Durbin and some other Senate heroes, our bill became the first.
Also, nasty business. Nasty fucking business that that we're remembering, we're recollecting on old Lindsey boys maneuvering fondly.
Step Act after years, 2 presidents, 2 Congresses, and became law. One of my favorite moments in that negotiation was at the last minute, I'm trying to force one more thing into that bill. This has to do with children being put in solitary confinement. And I am going at it with this White House official who says, no, hard no. And we're almost yelling at each other. And then he says, I'm going to get Lindsey Graham on the phone and he will tell you. And so he gets the White House operator to connect Lindsey Graham onto the phone. And Lindsey Graham listens for maybe a hot second and then interrupts the guy and says, are you kidding me? We need Cory Booker to get this bill done. We can't do it without him. Give him what he wants. And it was in the bill. It's now part of the law of the land. One of the White House negotiators during that first negotiation told me that Lindsey Graham was like an unguided missile. That God, you never knew which way he was going to go, whether he would come back and hit you. But when he was aligned, when he would be in the right place at the right time, man, he could get things done that other people couldn't and bring a lot of light and new possibilities to the efforts. I am stunned at Lindsey Graham's death, but I pray that he is reunited with his friend, John McCain.
Yeah, they went to the same place.
That they both are experiencing God's love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. My prayers are with his family and all those who loved and cherished him. I will miss my perhaps most unexpected friend in the Senate and someone with whom I got some good things done.
Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously quite a shock. The senator was a close ally of yours. He referred to himself as your North Star, the Trump guy in the Senate. What are your thoughts about Lindsey Graham this morning?
Well, it's devastating. I thought he was fine. He called me last night. He just got back from Ukraine, and he had a great trip. He was telling me about the trip. He was pushing.
I don't know who's worse to eulogize this man, by the way. Is it Benjamin Netanyahu, like the enemy of most people, like most people despise Benjamin Netanyahu, or Donald Trump, who is not only also the enemy of most good people, who is exceptional at eulogizing people. Like he is, because a eulogy requires you to talk about someone else. And Donald Trump is incapable, almost physically incapable of talking about another person. So it's really funny that the only two people that are going and doing the rounds on mainstream media eulogizing Lindsey Graham are Donald Trump, who is physically incapable of ever saying something nice about another person because he's such a fucking narcissist and is also roundly despised by people. Or Benjamin Netanyahu, who is incapable of coming across as anything but a demon.
Very, very hard. You probably know he wanted to do the Save America Act that he was talking about that. He was full of vim and vigor. He was tired.
You know what I realized? You know how I was like making a joke, or not really a joke, but like I was talking about Asmongold fans who are mostly from Europe that LARP as like MAGA, even though they're like supposed to be European nationalists, European fascists. I guess we do that here in America for Israel. So in some ways, every nationalist is looking for another country that they can LARP as their own. Like our fascists do that for Israel. They're like, oh, hell yeah, you know. Israel is really punishing people. That's awesome. Israel's really killing a lot of Muslims. That's great. We should give them more billions of dollars. Every fascist at the end of the day is a cuck. Every fascist is a cuck. There's always another country. There's always another person who should fuck your wife if you're a fascist. There's another country that we should be giving all of our endless grace and support to. Even the American fascists. For the European fascists, it's about America and American dominance. And for the American fascists, it's usually the Israeli fascism.
He said, I'm tired because it's a long trip. But other than that, he was fine. And he called me, I guess, just moments before, because he called me like at 6:30 or something, and the medical people got there a little bit later, right after that. What a terrible loss it is. He was a great politician. He was a natural. There are very few of them. He was a natural politician. Got along with everybody. When he didn't, he was very tough. He was a tough cookie too, but he got along with everybody.
Yeah, he had some harsh words about you 10 years ago when you were running against each other.
Did. Well, he ran against me, and he was, formidable. He was tough. He was tough and smart, and that's where I got to know him on the campaign. I didn't know him before then, and I spoke to him maybe once in my life before then, but I got to know him. He was one of the 17 people that ran against me, and he was, a smart guy. And it was a nasty campaign. He was tough and nasty, but I was nasty too. And it worked out fine. And I got to know him by little drips and drabs, and then we became friendly. And there was no better advocate. He was a fantastic advocate in the Senate, and he could do things that other people. He was able to. If I had a really big problem with a certain Democrat, he could work it out. That's something most Republicans can't do.
As you just mentioned, he died right after returning to Washington, D.C. from a trip to Ukraine. It was his 10th trip there. He was a strong belief in interventionism, a staunch defender of Israel, staunch advocate for Zelensky. How influential was he with you when it came to foreign policy?
Well, we disagreed a little bit, but overall, I'm a big Israel person. He was certainly that. I wanted to see the war with Ukraine end very quickly. I think he was more into, keeping it going. Frankly, he was very, very militant having to do with that. But I was from the standpoint of 25,000 people dying every month. I didn't like that. And he was a very strong military person. So am I. But I think we used it a little bit differently. We probably had a little bit of a different attitude, but we got along on it. Essentially, we agreed. And essentially, we agreed on almost everything. Where he was really becoming strong was the Save America Act. He was really, and I think he was going to be there very, very strongly on the filibuster. He was against terminating the filibuster. And I think he was doing that because he said we have a budget coming up and we have debt ceiling coming up, and the Democrats will, they're deranged in many ways, and they're not going to be able to do it. So he was coming aboard, I think, for the filibuster, terminating the filibuster. But before we did that, he was going He was a strong advocate for Save America. And that's what he called me about last night. I mean, I think of it. I spoke to him he had already landed. He was probably at his place. I don't know.
It just takes, it's so funny. It takes like approximately 2 minutes. He like got some of the words out of the way and he's like, yeah, Lindsey Graham, he's great. He's a very big fighter in the Senate. And then immediately he's like, he wants a ballroom. Everybody knows Lindsey Graham in his last dying breath was like, Mr. President, you're the greatest. And honestly, the greatest deserves the greatest ballroom of all time. That's what he would have wanted. In order to honor his legacy, we got to build a ballroom. This is his My Tower is Tall as moment. Yeah, I mean, that was a very funny one too, but
I don't know where he was, but I spoke to him, and then I got a call a few hours later saying, late in the evening at 2 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, if we had the ballroom, Lindsey would still be alive. And that's what he would have wanted.
Morning, actually. But they found out about it, I think, about 8 o'clock, about his problem. But so it had to be something very quick because he was fine. Other than being tired, he was fine.
He obviously was very supportive of the strikes against Iran. The U.S. and Iran have been engaging back and forth in strikes over the last few days and overnight. Are we back at war? And who controls the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, I don't want to, out of respect for Lindsey, I'm not talking about that. We hit him very hard last night, so I don't want to talk about it. But I will say we hit him very hard last night. We had to deal with them yesterday. They were giving up everything. And then
they were begging. They were begging for a deal. They were giving up everything. They said, Mr. President, we love you. That's what the Iranians said. They said, we love you, Mr. President. You deserve a ballroom. That's what they said. Dude, it's so funny to be like, out of respect, they were about to give us everything. And then you look at the crowds in Tehran and they're like, they literally have placards and banners just saying things that I will not say because I don't want to get clipped right now. Okay.
All of a sudden, 2 hours after that, they hit a ship with a drone. And I said, these people, there's something wrong with them. But I'm talking about a man who had nothing wrong with him, and that's Lindsey Graham.
Iran has declared the Strait of Hormuz closed. Is that true, Mr. President?
It's open as far as we're concerned. Don't talk about it. Talk about the reason that you asked me to speak.
Okay. We appreciate your time, sir. Before I let you go, is there any other final word that you want the American people to know about Lindsey Graham? What was it about?
No, I think his finest moment was his defense of Brett Kavanaugh, who's a terrific guy and was treated very, very unfairly by the Democrats, very unfair. I've never seen anything like it. Maybe the worst I've ever seen anyone treated.
Wait, you shit on Brett Kavanaugh, too. What the fuck? Brett Kavanaugh's like delivered on some results that you didn't want, including the fucking birthright thing. I feel like last week he was calling Brett Kavanaugh a piece of shit. Now he's like, it was treated very unfairly.
Includes me. Well, maybe not me. But it includes just about everybody.
Not me. I'm the only one who's been treated unfairly. No one else.
Treated so unfairly. And Lindsey, as you remember, had that moment. And you know, I'll tell you, Jake, I think it was the top 10, maybe a top 5 moment in the history of the Senate. It was an incredible display. And he did it from the heart. He felt.
Overnight, the United States lost one of its most influential and consequential senators. Lindsey Graham died Saturday evening after what his office called a brief and sudden illness. He was 71 years old. Just hours earlier, Senator Graham had returned to Washington from a trip to Ukraine. He was scheduled to join us here on Meet the Press this morning for what would have been his 64th appearance. He was one of the broadcast's most frequent guests. Instead, this morning, we remember a man who served South Carolina for more than 2 decades, who helped shape America's foreign policy, whose voice was a constant presence in our national debate, and whose death has left colleagues of both parties in shock. We'll look back at his life, his public service, and his lasting impact on the Senate.
I'm probably like one of the 3 people who watches you in the Bulwark, and I feel like you need to watch their video from the other day about how Trump often defend sex offenders is perfect for that exact quote. I mean, yeah, we talk about it all the time. GOP, grand old pedophiles, baby.
And the country.
That's it.
And to start us off and do that, joining me now on the phone is President Donald Trump for reaction.
No, we watched the real president first, and now we're watching the fake president. The fake president, Donald J. Trump, eulogize Lindsey Graham. Yes, chatters, I know. I saw the news. Mitch McConnell is very much alive, it seems. Not exactly certain as to how or why. But
To the death of his close friend, President Trump, thank you for joining us, and my condolences to you.
Well, thank you. He's a tough one to lose. He was great. He was unique in every way, actually.
He was, Mr. President, and I know that we are all just absorbing this news. We are all in shock. Can you tell us, Mr. President, how you received this news and your immediate gut reaction when you heard it?
So what makes it even stranger is that I got a call last night sometime.
wait, what the fuck? He actually sounds sad. What the fuck? He sounds different on this one. Is it the shitty audio, or does this man actually feel? There's no way. Thanks. I forgot this aspect of how evil he was. Yeah.
Wanted an FBI investigation. You could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it, because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job
You
interview.
consider that you've been through a job interview.
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution. Which
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and rape them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent.
This is the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Lindsey Graham went extra hard to defend. Have you lost muscle? Skip this. It's boring. Take a day off for that question. The answer is no.
Person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this. That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, You're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat?
He went extra hard in the paint defending Brett Kavanaugh when he had a bunch of rape allegations that came out, among many other problems.
You know, the early evening, maybe in the 7s, and he called.
Who was he in the middle of the night that called? Who was he with in the middle of the night that called 911 for him? Does he live alone or was he sus with someone? I don't know. I think he was like, the 911 call is strange. Does anyone have the 911 call? I have family members who interact with government officials. He said everyone hates Lindsey and he was a weirdo. Yes, he just fucking dick rode whoever was in power into oblivion. That's it. And maybe wrote some other things as well. But yeah, scanner audio reveals that a woman in Baltimore makes a 911 call, but Lindsey Graham is home alone in D.C. with a locked door that has to be forcibly opened.
In response, 917 response, chest pains, South Capitol Street, Southeast.
Now, he could have been on the phone with someone, you know? I don't know. Yes, I know Mitch McConnell. Oh God, chatters. I know Mitch McConnell released a photo and a statement. Okay, that he's alive. He's very much alive. I don't know why it took him 26 days to come out with this, but
He said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. He said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. Had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker. But he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired. But he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsey. We're going to get it done. I'll see you like soon. We thought maybe we might even meet today. And then that was it. And that was, very around the time. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been his last call. I don't know exactly. But I got a message about 1 o'clock in the morning from one of the people at his office that he had passed away. I said, I just can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me. It's very tough, actually. It's amazing.
Mr. President,
he was such an advocate. He was, if he wanted to get something, and he had a unique ability. He was able to deal with Democrats and Republicans. If I had a problem, a real problem, I wouldn't often ask. But if I had a problem with a Democrat, he could work it out. He was a great politician, actually.
He loved.
You precog Lindsey's death 2 years ago?
It would probably laser zap my penis into the next dimension.
Well, you're gonna
making it.
How are you gonna fuck it?
It would be the greatest orgasm of all time. I'd probably have to.
So it's gonna blow your dick off, and it's gonna.
No, it would kill me. It would be the greatest nut.
Orgasm to death.
If you could achieve the great.
Where did you find this? Where did you find a conversation of me talking about how hard I would nut and die if an alien fucked me? From 3 years ago on a Fear End episode, August 8th, 2023. How is that even possible that you had that in the chamber? I rewatched it last night when playing Path of Exile. There's something wrong with a lot of you. Freaky Unk back at it. Yeah, that's a Freaky Unk moment for sure. For sure, Freaky Unk moment.
His work, Mr. President. Yep. I hear you saying that in this final conversation that you have emblematic. He was tireless, but it brought him such joy, didn't it?
No, there was nobody like him. He loved being a politician, and he was going to win.
And he
his
loved
election.
Israel.
He was going to win it big. I endorsed him very early, and he was going to win it big. He got it, just had it made, and he just loved being a politician. I said, the reason I'm endorsing you is because I got to make sure you win, because if you didn't win, I don't think you could handle life. I really don't. He was a man, there are guys that can lose and they go into something else.
And he loved the Save America Act. Dog, he literally said that. He literally was like, Lindsey Graham, we were talking, and he said, Mr. President, you got to pass the Save America Act. That's the last thing he said. We should pass the Save America Act for Lindsey. That's what he straight up said, bro.
I can't imagine him doing anything else. I said, if you weren't a U.S. Senator, I don't know if you could live very long, and look what happens. He was going to have a big victory. And the people loved him. Everybody loved him. Well, no, he had some enemies. He was a tough cookie. Don't misunderstand. He was a tough cookie in many ways. If he wanted to get something, if he thought he was right and he had people against him, he could be very tough, actually. But he was a good person.
Mr. President, it is just extraordinary. You just spoke with him last night. His office says he passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Are you learning any more details about how and why he may have passed? Did he tell you anything in that phone call, Mr. President, about not feeling well?
No, he said he's a little tired. It was a long trip, many hours. And he had just gotten back. And it must have been right after that, because I understand the police or whoever it is came there at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, bro, you killed him. You fucking killed his ass, bro. You did it. Good job. You told him about how hard you were going to bomb Iran, and he just his heart exploded.
Something like that. So somebody notified him. But no, he felt okay. I actually, on the call, he told me, Kristen, he said, I feel good, but I'm tired. He was fine. I knew him well. He would let you know if he wasn't feeling well. He had days where he didn't feel so well, and he'd let you know about it. But he was a fantastic person. He was a man who, you're going to watch, it's going to be a very big thing with him. He's going to be appreciated more now than he was when he was living.
What?
I think.
And just to make that point, authorities were called to his home responding to initial reports of a cardiac arrest. Again, his office saying a brief and sudden illness. Do you have any more details?
I would think it would
that?
be that, because when I spoke to him, it could have been, minutes before, based on based on the fact that I heard about the call, whatever time that was. So it was shortly before. But it had to be something like that, because he was, other than being tired, he was fine. And so it had to be something like that would just be a quick end. And maybe that's not the worst way to go.
He
had some fine moments. His moment on Brett Kavanaugh was one of the classics, I think, in the history of the Senate. His moment was literally one of the great classics of anyone in the Senate, when he defended Brett Kavanaugh so brilliantly. And Brett might not have made it except for that. They were treating him very unfairly. Good man. They treated him so unfairly, and Lindsey was so angry at the Senate because of it, and he had really an emotional moment. And I think that saved Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court, ascension. Lindsey did something that he was just so angry at the way Brett was being treated by the Democrats. It was so unfair. It was so unfair.
I want to ask you more about his legacy.
Lindsey got that over. Lindsey did a thing there that was, I think, nobody else could have done that.
Let me ask you a little bit more about his legacy. And I know you remember this moment, Mr. President, back in 2015, when he was one of your challengers on the campaign trail, the two of you facing off against each other. And then he very quickly became one of your staunchest allies, Mr. President. And he, frankly, never let up. in that
No, he never
posture.
did.
Played golf
Nope.
together, frequently on the phone together. What do you think it is about Senator Graham that allowed him to make that transition from competitor to ally so quickly and so forcefully?
Well, I got to know Lindsey during the campaign. I didn't really know him then. I met him once or twice, but nothing. And I got to know him during the campaign. He was tough, but he said, "I'll see you in South Carolina." You know, he was. But when it came to South Carolina, I won South Carolina by a lot. And I sort of ran the table on everybody, and it was good. And he appreciated it. He respected it. And we sort of got a little bit friendly, and the friendship grew. It just grew. And he was.
I destroyed him in South Carolina. Everybody hated him after. They love me. They love me in South Carolina, which is his state. You might not know because he's also from the state of Israel.
He was an amazing advocate. He was, I don't know how you find anybody like him. He was so intent. I mean, he literally called me about the Save America Act. That's why that's where I heard. Think of it. He's traveling for many, many hours. That's a long flight. That's a long trip. And he, calls me about the Save America Act. He thought we were going to get it passed.
Do you remember
This is a big blow to the Save America Act, let me tell you.
Do you remember, Mr. President, what was the last thing you said to him? What was the last thing he said to you?
Dude. There's something so funny about NBC Meet the Press doing everything they can to be like, can you humanize yourself? And Lindsey Graham and Trump just zeroing in. Trump just zeroing in on his own personal goals and ambitions and being like, I don't give a shit. Come on, Save America Act.
I said, we'll see you soon. Come over anytime you want. He came into the White House a lot because I liked him. Can't do that with everybody. But he'd come in a lot. And he was a great, like a gauge, a temperature gauge of the Senate.
He was gauge, all right.
He was somebody that most Democrats liked. Some didn't, but most Democrats liked. And just about all of the Republicans liked Lindsey. He got along with everybody. And yet he was a tough cookie in a lot of ways, but honestly, he was a great politician. People don't realize what a good politician he was. He could go in and get something approved. He would just get people on his side. He was really a talented. You probably never heard me say that about anybody because there aren't too many of them. Let me tell you. Sometimes you'll meet somebody that's been there for 25 years. You say, how did they stay? They're not. This man was a great politician. He really got it.
To that point, Mr. President, it's nearly impossible to think about replacing Senator Lindsey Graham, and yet the governor of the great state of South Carolina is going to need to appoint someone on an interim basis. There will also be a special election called. Do you have, I know it's only hours, but is there someone you think he should appoint? Is there someone you think he will appoint?
I have somebody that I think would be great, but I don't want to say it now because it just, it's too soon with Lindsey. I don't want to even talk about anybody, but I do have somebody that I think is really good. The governor is a good friend of mine. I've endorsed him. I endorsed him early on, and he endorsed me right from the beginning as a person that never did this before. In 2016, he came out and very strongly endorsed me, and then I made up
over
for it.
Lindsey
I removed
Graham.
Somebody from office that I didn't think was so good. Moved her over to the United Nations. 95% of my doing that, because the United Nations job was not exactly tough. It could be very important, but she.
It will 100% not be Nancy Mace. Are you kidding me, chatters? Nancy Mace got fucking destroyed. Trump hates Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace's career is over.
Was okay at it, but I did it because Henry McMaster was the lieutenant governor, and by moving her, I got myself a great, really a great guy. Henry McMaster has been a really good governor, really good guy, and that position cleared out. And Henry's been a great governor. Now he's termed out, but he's going to do the right thing. I think Henry will be fantastic. Remember, he endorsed me out of nowhere. He said, "I like that guy the best," and he campaigned for me with his wife, with Peg. Yeah. He campaigned for me. I'd say, who is that man that's campaigning?
Dude. He's talking more about the governor who endorsed him over Lindsey Graham than Lindsey Graham at this point.
All the time. I hardly knew him. They said, that's the lieutenant governor. So they have a great governor, and he's going to make a good decision. But ultimately, it's going to be an election pretty soon. As I understand the rules, every state is different. But ultimately, they'll have an election. They'll have some people joining.
As I understand the rules, you're the president, dude.
And but I have somebody that I like, but I'm not going to tell you who now because it's too soon.
All right, fair enough. We will.
I never thought I'd be in this position.
Yeah.
I thought Lindsey was going to be living forever. I said, Lindsey, you're going to live forever. And he was going to have a big victory. He was scheduled to win by a lot. He had my support, and he was going to win by a lot. He was going to have one of his best elections ever, and now he's got.
The Democrat was actually performing fairly well against them too.
This terrible.
Well, I had the great honor of being able to talk to him a couple of times this week, Mr. President. And as you can imagine, we talked about a lot of foreign policy. We talked about a lot of Iran. And in honor of him, I want to still have some of those conversations. Those were the conversations he wanted to have here this morning, Mr. President. You obviously launched a fresh round of strikes overnight. Iran said overnight the Strait of Hormuz.
In honor of Lindsey Graham. Can we please talk about you launching a fresh set of strikes on the Strait of Hormuz?
Is closed. CENTCOM came out this morning and said the Strait of Hormuz is open. Which is it, Mr. President, and how are you going to respond?
And I don't want to talk about it because I want to honor the life of Lindsey Graham, so I don't want to talk about it. I told you that before the call.
Yeah.
It's open. We bombed the hell out of them last night. They're very, very evil and sick people. We had meetings with them for the last. They agreed to a deal yesterday, a perfect deal for us. No nuclear, no this, no that, no nothing. They gave up everything. And then after that, they left the room. And then.
It's so funny to me that they're just straight up, like Trump just lies about this shit every day now. Just, that's the whole, I guess that's the method. Just fucking lie. It's what Lindsey would have wanted. Bombing Iran and then lying about the Strait of Hormuz being open. Don't look. It's open. Don't look. Don't try it. Just take my word for it. It's open.
And within an hour, they launched a drone at a ship. I said, you people are sick. You're sick people. And so it's one of those things. I don't want to talk about it.
Finally, before I let you go.
I want to talk about one person today, Lindsey Graham.
As we should, Mr. President. Just finally, before I let you go, what is the legacy of Senator Lindsey Graham, Mr. President?
He's got so many legacies, but one of the legacies is a Supreme Court justice who's excellent named Brett Kavanaugh. That's one of the legacies. That's a big legacy because Brett was being treated very unfairly. I don't think he could have gotten through without Lindsey's classic. I mean, if you go back into the top 10, I think it would be a top 10, a top 5 in the history of the Senate. The emotion, the anger, the love, the whole thing, everything was in that. It was. I called him up. I said, that's one of the great classics of all time. He was a great politician. He really was. He got along with a lot of people that you wouldn't think of. He was somebody that loved our country, and he fought very hard for the country. And I know he was going to do your show today. He told me, I'm doing Meet the Press. Can you believe it? He said, here I am doing Meet the Press for him. But he told me last night he's doing Meet the Press. So, but I said, just relax and take it easy, Lindsey. He just got back from a long trip. But I thought he was just going to live forever. And it didn't work out that way.
Mr. President.
I thought he was going to live forever. But it didn't work out that way.
And joining me now is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Congressman Khanna, thank you so much for being here. My condolences to you. It's a loss for everyone in Congress.
Well, my condolences to Senator Graham's family. He obviously served this country honorably in the Air Force. He was someone who bucked his own party on immigration, who talked about having undocumented people have a pathway to citizenship. And of course, we had very profound disagreements on foreign policy. I do believe that there is a new generation that does not want these foreign wars and wants a more human rights-oriented foreign policy. But my condolences to him and recognition of his service.
He loved having those debates. And as you say, foreign policy was...
Okay. I mean, that's chat. Chat. I'm sorry. That's as good as it's going to get. That's actually surprisingly good. Oh, I'm sorry. Is he not terminally online posting like Hasanabi Piker? What are you, fucking crazy? He said, look, complicated legacy. He was pro-immigration. That's good. But we mostly disagreed on foreign policy and people want something different. That's a great way to fucking... Like, that is a unbelievably fair assessment. He didn't sit there and was like, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I've never seen a congressman like him before. Like, he's not going to fucking say R.I.P. Bozo.
Front and center in those debates. He had a very close relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu. You just heard me talking to Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I do want to ask you, because you just returned from a 3-day trip to the West Bank this week. You say you were held by Israeli settlers with rifles. We do have some still footage that was captured by your team of the incident. We should say in a statement, the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, released a statement saying IDF troops were dispatched to the scene, quickly dispersed the Israeli civilians, and reopened the blocked road. The IDF soldiers operating in the area did not take part in blocking the road. Walk us through what you experienced.
The IDF is lying. What happened was unprecedented. They had violent settlers detain American citizens, including an American government official. You had these settlers brandishing M4s, kicking the tires of our van, laughing at us, mocking at us, videotaping us. We were detained for about 20 minutes, fearful of our lives. Then the IDF comes, 4 soldiers. They tell our translator that they're on the side of the settlers. They further detain us and block us in. We had to call the American embassy. Fortunately, David Brownstein helped, and he got to someone in Israel. And 75 minutes after the detention by the IDF soldiers and by these settlers, we were let through. Now, I heard the prime minister, and he says that Israel is a country of law and order. Well, let me be very specific. The prime minister needs to open an investigation on these violent settlers who are connected to Yanon Levy, who has destroyed Zanuda's village and is a known person who has killed Palestinians, and these settlers were connected to him. They need to be prosecuted, including Yanon Levy. Their outpost needs to be investigated, and he needs to have an investigation on these 4 IDF officers. Security cameras can see that they were involved in the detention of American citizens. How dare they mistreat people with an American passport that way?
Well, we appreciate your weighing in on that. Obviously, that has gotten a lot of attention. I want to ask you about something else that has been under a microscope, your endorsement of Senate candidate Graham Plattner in Maine. He has since dropped out amid a swirl of controversies. Congressman, you stood by him through a series.
Bro. Hey, I know you got like fucking harassed and detained by settlers and our quote unquote most valuable allies like lying about that, but can we talk about how you're a real big piece of shit for endorsing Graham Plattner? That's awesome. Like, I feel like there's varying degrees of severity of crisis here. And I think like maybe you should, you know, let that other point hang for a little bit, maybe have a little bit of back and forth on that before you immediately go into the Graham Plattner stuff.
Of previous controversies, from a tattoo resembling a Nazi symbol to his online posts blaming survivors of sexual assault, even after the New York Times published allegations from ex-girlfriends describing a pattern of emotional abuse, aggressive behavior, which he denies, we should say. Why weren't those past controversies a breaking point for you?
For me, the line always was sexual assault or sexual violence. And as soon as that came out, I was the first person to withdraw my endorsement. But I will say I got that call wrong. And if there's some self-reflection, it is that we all need to see the signs earlier of people who may engage in domestic violence. Look, I wasn't the only one. You had Planned Parenthood, you had Senator Warren, you had the entire Democratic Party. But I did get that call wrong. I think what is important, though, is to understand his politics. He was opposed to foreign wars. He was for Medicare for all, and why the progressive movement more broadly, why these issues are resonating.
Do you regret endorsing him?
Yes.
You flat out regret
I got that call
him.
wrong. I endorse a lot of people, but when I make a mistake, I take accountability. And I think what people want is the humility to take accountability.
Yeah, that's literally, that's crazy. More follow-up questions about Ro Khanna's Graham Plattner endorsement than Ro Khanna's unlawful detention by the IDF. That's wild. 4-minute slot, and literally half of it is just her shitting on Ro Khanna for endorsing Graham Plattner. Wow. Look, is it valid to ask him about that? Absolutely. Absolutely. But like, if you got minimal amount of time on Meet the Press, and the reason why he's going on Meet the Press is not to like talk about Graham Plattner, which he's like given responses to over and over again since he unendorsed him. Strange. Yeah, right after she interviewed a rapist president who sat there and talked about himself and about Lindsey Graham's legacy. Kind of inconsistent standard, don't you think? I guess unless your standard is anyone that tarnishes the good reputation of Israel not even a rapist president. A rapist president talking about the defense of an alleged rapist like Brett Kavanaugh in positive terms. Isn't that crazy? This is NBC News. This isn't ZBS. This isn't CNN. This is NBC.
If you make a call that's wrong.
All right, Congressman Khanna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We really